You and I, my futon, fold it up and smoke it. Transgression, a progression of a war we ain't asked for. Transgression, a progression of a war we ain't asked for.
It's madness, yo. All the things that we could talk about.
Call it.
But let's talk about these urban circumstances real quick.
And basically, it's
we got this.
So,
revolution.
Winner of frosty hand. Muhammad is the fame's name, forever stand.
Standing on royal fusing of justice for the few, ridiculed by the pale terrorists bent on genocidal obsession, rooted in fear of neglection and abandonment, fueled by nightmares of ancestors jealous.
Truth, because at the end of the day, I still want to be able to I don't dislike George Washington.
The kind of friends I think all friends should be like my friends. My friends are the kind of friends I think everyone needs. My friends see the things at times I don't see. My friends hate the police.
What has changed?
Are deemed the criminals, and the blacks are deemed the criminals.
shut up and help.
Reflection ain't nothing but the inner child trying to see you. You gonna look? You gonna pick up that book?
Lord, keep me far from the faith. Guide me through night and day. Teach me your ways. Show me the righteous way to sway. Lord, can you teach me, please? Show me the way, I'd say. Grand Risings, and welcome back to another episode of the Urban Conservative with Chaz Neal. We're excited to have you join us on this journey of thoughtful discourse and community engagement. The Urban Conservative is proudly sponsored by the Leon Block Network, an organization committed to promoting transparency, truth, and accountability in our media landscape. Here at the Urban Conservative, our mission remains steadfast to bring you the latest news directly from the streets, addressing critical topics such as gun violence, crime, politics, and perhaps most importantly, exploring solutions to the profound challenges our communities face. As we embark on this third season, the focus is clear. It's time to actively contribute to the transformation of our communities for the better. How can we achieve this? The answer lies in a multifaceted approach that starts with reconnecting with our core family values. Strengthening our sense of community is paramount, fostering bonds that transcend the barriers that often divide us. Moreover, it involves embracing our foundational roots, recognizing the historical and cultural threads that weave through the fabric of our society. In this season, we are calling for more than words. We seek action. It's a plea to move beyond mere rhetoric and engage in tangible, impactful initiatives that contribute to positive change. The time for empty words has passed. Now more than ever, we need to put our convictions into action. Together, united by a common purpose, we can make a substantial and lasting difference in the well-being of our communities. So join us on this journey as we explore not only the challenges, but also the opportunities for growth and progress. Together, let's turn our shared vision for stronger, safer, and more connected communities into a reality. Thank you for being a part of the Urban Conservative with Chaz Neal, a platform dedicated to fostering change and making a positive impact on the world around us. Shut up and help. Good morning, and I'm your host, Chaz Neal. This is the Urban Conservative, and today we are embarking on a deep dive into the historical legacy of the NAACP. Born in 1909 as a response to the racial tensions of its time, the NAACP boasted pioneers like W.E.B, Du Bois, Ida B, Wells-Barnett, and Mary White Ovington. But as we stand in the present, there's a prevailing question. Is the NAACP still effectively addressing the issues faced by Black Americans? The founding ideals of the NAACP were rooted in the abolition of segregation and discrimination. But has the organization strayed from its original mission? Join me as we dissect this complex topic and explore whether the NAACP is living up to its legacy, or if it has lost touch with the ever-evolving challenges faced by the Black community. So I wanted to, when I talk about the NAACP, right? Because there's a few things that we need to discuss, right? Because I don't think there's a lot of things that we miss when we talk about being Black American, when we talk about being African American, because those words have changed, right? There's so many things, and I don't know the exact word, but I do have it for you, and I'm going to put it in the, because it's not an acronym, but it's an ethnonym. And we're going to learn about that today, because this is about educating and liberating. But so you'll see on there that an ethnonym is a name or term used to identify and label a particular ethnic group, highlighting its distinct cultural, linguistic, or historical characteristics. Ethnonyms contribute to the expression of cultural identity within diverse societies. Now, I want to get into that a little bit deeper, because there is another thing that we need to discuss, and that is also going to come up in this video that I have. It is called Say It Loud, Are You Black or African American? But is eugenics. And that's another thing that Black people have had to deal with, as well as, is there a difference between Black diaspora and Africa diaspora? And again, all of this gets into this in this video that I am about to play. So let me be quiet, and we will watch this video together and discuss it afterwards. So,
Negro,
Free person of color,
yellow,
maroon,
musty,
dusky,
mulatto,
bright mulatto,
dark mulatto,
quadroon, again,
color,
accurate, black.
From our arrival here in the Americas, we've been called so many things. The terms have changed over time, but the importance of codified racial categories has not.
It's like so important, so deep, so important.
But like, why?
I don't know, Easy. I don't know.
At the very foundation of America, our entire economy was based on racial categories. Who was allowed to own land, where you could live, how you were taxed, whether you were a slave and entered, which was determined by your.
The first U.S. Census was managed by none other than your boy, Thomas Jefferson. Yeah, his views on race were not the best.
Jefferson believed that race was biological and it determined a person's intelligence, beauty, even ability to experience complex emotions. His evolutionary hierarchy of the races went from the Black man to him. He even came up with this quick little mathematical equation to help us understand racial categories. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
Okay, little a equals pure Negro, and capital A equals pure white. Now, the unit of blood of the issue, that means kid. H so let the second crossing of little h and capital B over little a over 4, or substituting for h over 2, half of B it will be. Let the third that crossing be of Q. Now, their offspring will Q over twice. That means so now it's 1/8 of A, so that the third cross, that third equation, clears the blood.
Did you say clears the blood?
That's what he said. It clears the blood of, I guess, pure Negroes. So that's race math. What Jefferson is trying to say is that if a person had 1/8 or less Black blood, which is one Black great-grandparent, they would then be considered white. Did this change their status as a slave? No. But according to Jefferson, if that person were to be emancipated, they would enter the free world as a white American citizen, like these kids.
What?
Yeah, I know. It makes no sense.
What about the one-drop rule?
Well, that didn't start until after the Civil War, as a result of an emerging ideology based on pseudoscience called eugenics that said we could improve humanity through selective breeding.
Like dogs.
Yep. It became a social movement in the US that included county contests for the best baby and fittest family and forced sterilizations of poor whites and minorities. Everyone was obsessed with racial purity. Well, everyone liked
Hitler.
Yeah. Our eugenics movement inspired Hitler.
Girl, this is too much. Okay, so if what makes you black or blackamoor or quadroon or whatever can change so easily, what does it even mean?
I don't know. And when I don't know, I ask my mom. Hi, Mom. Thanks for being on the show.
Hello, AZ.
We need to know something. What is race?
Okay, so basically, race is just classification, a way to classify people, and it's usually based on, or in this country especially, based on physical characteristics, genealogy, ancestry. The census is important because we need to count. We need to know what the population looks like. It's just like with anything else, planning. You have to, if you're having a dinner party, you want to know how many people are coming. It's the basis for so much, like Medicare. We need to have number counts for Medicare, Social Security, housing, schools, expenditures, how much money states are going to get from the federal government. All of that.
Is Black the same as African American?
So this is the thing in terms of, again, federal surveys, census, data collection, the work that I do with the data that I use, we say Black or African American. We usually put the two together. The really important reason for having Black in there is because oftentimes if you have folks who are of African origin, in terms of their ancestry, but they're from the Caribbean, they don't necessarily identify as African American. They identify as Caribbean American. So then Black would be more inclusive.
Which one of your daughters is your favorite?
As you know, I have no favorites, AZ. I have actually 3 favorite daughters. Don't ask me that again, AZ.
Okay, thanks, Mom.
Bye, AZ. Anytime. Love you.
Hey, Ev.
Don't call me that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting that. You know, my mom's great uncle was called a Griff in his military records.
Griff? That sounds like some Harry Potter stuff.
Well, you're not wrong. It comes from the word griffin, which means half lion and half eagle. It means half African American and half Native American.
So wait, the African American part is lion?
Yeah.
That's messed up.
You think I could bring it back though? Like maybe write it on the census under country of origin?
Girl, no. I'm not trying to do math again. You are Black.
Or am I African American?
I think I'm African American.
Oh, right. Because you're from the real Africa.
Kenya, AZ. Kenya specifically. My parents are Kenyan, but I consider myself Black American.
Well, someone in my family was from the real Africa, like back in the day. I mean, look at me.
That's it.
And my mom is Pamunkey on one side and Nats Cook on the other.
Right. Eagle.
And other stuff, white stuff. But that's normal. Most Black Americans have white ancestry. Blackness is complex. Maybe that's why it's more popular than African American.
Hey, it's 2019. You can call yourself whatever you want to.
So, Griff.
No. God, AZ, no. I think I need to talk to some real Black people about this.
Okay.
So we're out here, Austin, Texas, trying to find Black folks walking around. I live here. I know it's kind of tough, but we're going to do it. We're going to have people answer the question of the video. I am here with
Jeremiah.
Thank you, Jeremiah. And the question of the day is, when someone asks you, what's your race? Do you say Black or African American?
I say Black. I would like to identify as African American, but I don't know anything about African culture. I'm just ignorant on that fact. It's a completely different culture as far as what they go through, as far as how their upbringing is, their parents teaching them the food that they eat, stuff like that.
I encounter a lot of like first generation like African students, like Nigerian students, things like that. And so I feel like when I say, I mean, they could also say that they're Black. When I say African American, it's like, it's more, I mean, technically they're African American too, but it's more of like the didn't come to America by choice kind of thing.
Right.
So like I just feel like Black is more of the uniting thing, because no matter like what country you're from, you're still like Black and you.
I would say either. First of all, my idea on race, I feel like I know is a little bit different than everyone else's. As far as I'm a Christian, I'm a follower of Jesus, and so I believe this idea of how we try to categorize ourselves, it could be a good thing and a bad thing. But at the end of the day, I don't allow it to take away from my walk with God.
I would say it depends on the situation and who I'm talking to. For the most part, I'll say Black if I'm talking to someone who would identify similarly. However, if I'm talking to someone who wouldn't identify that way, I can say African American just because I want them to call me that. So I don't want to say I don't want them to call me.
Okay. Still no consensus. Okay. It's time to call on the big dogs.
Okay, everyone. We've called you here today for the very important task of deciding once and for all what we should call people of the African diaspora. So, any ideas?
What is a name to the Negro? If he till the field, he is a Negro. If he work the mill, he is a Negro. If he sing anthems to extol the praises of his America and fight under its banner, he is still a Negro.
So, one for Negro. If this cat thinks I'm going to call myself a Negro, he's got another thing coming, Jack. I'm Black. Black as the night sky. Black as the pit they try to keep us in. You dig?
So you think we should be called Black and not African American?
Black as the womb we came from in our mother Africa. Black is beautiful.
But what about us mulattoes?
Oh my God, you can't say that word anymore. I'm gonna tweet this.
Well, what can I say? Free people of color?
I don't see color.
A friend of mine had that condition. A few teaspoons of mercury should clear it right up. It's the syphilis.
Okay, all right. Miss Sojourner Truth, do you have a preference on what you'd like to be called? Ain't I a woman?
Okay, well, we've got some choices, so maybe we should vote.
But colored people can't vote. That's how come we're having this meeting.
No, we can vote. If you're a man, ain't I a woman?
What is the vote to the Negro slave?
You can't say slave anymore.
Make a decision, all right?
If the Negro is a slave, shall he vote for
That's
slavery?
as far as I've got
Shall he
okay?
vote against?
I can only do so much.
Who will tally
right?
the votes
I'm
of
leading
the
the way.
slaves?
I am a Black.
If I
I'm
am a
leading
slave,
the way.
shall I
Searching for
not
a
be
Black
right
king.
here on the front line?
We need to revolutionize.
That's
We need to
what
weaponize.
we
We need to
bring out
militarize.
That's
enough. Look, I don't think we're getting anywhere. Of course not. You won't insist on who we are, or what we should call ourselves, because Black is not a monolith.
So, what do people think? You know, I sit there and I think about it because, you know, as I've continued to learn and evolve and progress, I've come to find that, you know, the color codes have changed. So I sit there and I look at organizations, you know, like the NAACP, who were for the national social, whatever they are, for colored people. We don't call them colored people anymore. We're not considered colored because that's seen as wrong, right? So, and when I look at the NAACP, I don't see people that have the same fight, that have the same journey. You know what I'm saying? Because I see people like Wale, who is, I think he's either Kenyan or Nigerian, or I think even Sudanese. But you weren't born here, my brother. You were born in another country. Your parents, your ancestors didn't have to go through what my ancestors had to go through, right? And it's like that when I see most of these NAACP. It's not people that are Black Americans. It's not people that they're fighting for new Americans, right? Because that's why all these offices of new Americans are popping up. That's why I really want people to think, is the NAACP really effective today? Because who are they really fighting for? They're not that's not the same NAACP from the 1950s that were, you know, Thurgood Marshall and Medgar Evers and Roy Wilkins were doing lawsuits, right? They were doing sit-ins because the NAACP now asks for masses permission before they do anything. They don't fight for the causes that I believe that the NAACP, which was started to and founded to fight and to progress rights for Black Americans for African descendants of slavery, not for the people that come over here looking for a better opportunity. And then that's why I say that a lot of these movements are co-opted. It's not about Black Americans. It's, you know, I sit there and I look at all of this legislation. I look at all these resolutions, even ones that I authored, because that's what frustrates me now as I sit there and had to sit there and I authored a bill, or not a bill, but a resolution proclaiming racism a public health crisis. And I had to literally put POC, persons of color. Yeah, they acknowledged that slavery was bad, but they wanted, that's what was crazy to me, because I had so many issues with that, and I still do to this day have so many issues with that resolution. But there was a couple of things that I wanted to read or talk that were brought up during their video. And one of them is the Black diaspora and the African diaspora, because there is a difference. And the African diaspora refers to the global dispersion of dispersion of people of African descent, while Black diaspora emphasizes the shared experiences and cultures of dispersed communities with African roots living outside the continent. The former is broader, encompassing various regions, while the latter emphasizes cultural ties and shared history. I see a lot of it, you know, like I look at our so-called leaders, you know, because, you know, they tell us that we've had a Black president. No, we haven't. And I'm going to explain why we haven't had a Black president, because we're going to talk about the codes, right? They tell us that he's Black because of his skin color, because of where his daddy was born, who was born in Kenya. His mother is white. Now we come to Kamala Harris. Same thing. I think her daddy is Jamaican or Trinidad or from somewhere down there. And her mama, I think, is white. Again, not somebody's ancestors that went through slavery, that went through the transatlantic slave trade. So why do they want to bunch them into saying that they're Black when they're not? It's so that they can sit there and give us tokens. And that's why it hurts me when I see people out here saying that they're for us, but you ain't us. You keep speaking for us, but you ain't us. And that's what hurts me. And it really should hurt anybody that considers themselves Black Americans, because your voice is being silenced and you don't even realize it. So when they brought up the one-drop rule, in the U.S., it deemed anyone with any African ancestry as Black, reinforcing racial hierarchy. Criticized for discrimination, it played a role in historical segregation and racial stereotypes. Now, again, another thing that is we don't talk about And there's one thing that I really learned from this video that I found very interesting was the griff, which historically refers to a term that from Brazil during the colonial period to describe individuals of mixed race ancestry, specifically those of African and indigenous heritage. It was part of a complex system of racial classification reflecting the social hierarchy of the time. The term is not commonly used today as it is associated with a period of racial categorization that has been criticized for its discriminatory nature. So, and then I wanted to explain what colonial refers to a period when one country establishes control over another region or territory, often for economic exploitation or political dominance. Colonialism involves the establishment and maintenance of colonies, typically by a more powerful nation. This historical practice, prevalent from the 15th to the 20th centuries, holds significant impacts on the colonized societies, shaping their economies, cultures, and political structures. And I don't think that's something that's talked about a lot, is colonialism, because we're so stuck up on racism that we don't really talk about all the other things that really conflict and divide us, because we're so quick to, that's why we can never fight the main problem, right? Because we can never, we just want to fight racism, but we never want to get rid of all the other issues that have to deal with part of the problem, right? And that is the, colorism, that's rankism, because we have those things in our own community. We have those things in our own community that we don't even call out, that we allow it because it doesn't affect us. You know what I'm saying? And that's what bugs me. That's why I say these house Negroes, gatekeepers. That's what we're going to call it, because what's crazy is every time I go at the NAACP and I go at their board of directors, which there's white people, it's always my people defending them. That's what I will never understand. Why do you protect them? They can speak for themselves. If they have a problem with what I'm saying, why not allow them to defend themselves for being on a board that is supposed to be fighting for my rights, be fighting for my freedoms, right? Make that make sense. Why are you, that's gatekeeping. You're not even allowing them to speak for themselves. And I will never understand why Black people do that. Because it's, if that house come down, man, that's gonna hurt us. No, what the fuck, it's not. That's that house Negro mentality. And people don't even understand it. They don't understand the makings of a slave, because they're indoctrinated to think like that. They're indoctrinated to think that if they vote any other way, if they do anything different than what they're facing, if there's anything that they're facing, that's what I will never understand. I will never understand that. It's just like the same thing with Walter Hudson. You start talking about white people, and here he comes. Oh, they're good people. They're. Man, stop that, Walter, because all you're doing is being a house Negro. You don't even know what it feels like to be Black, my nigga. For real. You don't even, most of the Bobby Joe Champion. When your sister Mona was a crackhead, was the only time y'all ever felt Black, right? Because the minute you became senator, the minute you became to really be the voice of the Black people, that's when you're not Black anymore. You done sold out, put that dress on. You don't put the dress on. Cedric Frazier too. Keith Ellison. They done put the dress on. And because John Thompson, and because at the end of the day, we're too afraid to call out them. We're too afraid to call them out. We're too afraid to call them out. Right. The divine nine, and I am going to get on that because I literally I've looked into that divine nine, and wow, that shit kind of blew my mind a little bit. It has as I get in, I want to research it a little bit more before I speak on it. And so that's something that just caught my eye the other day, was the divine nine on Martin Luther King Day, because that really tripped me out, and I had to make it make sense, and now I got to make it make sense to y'all. So but let's get to some of these comments. So I was on local NAACP website yesterday. Mostly has their history and 3 events listed for the year. The president and his white wife were both on the panel for MLK event yesterday. You know, I didn't notice that until the other day. And well, I shouldn't say that. I didn't know that. I knew his wife was white. I didn't know who she was or what she looked like or whatever, but I did see and that's what I used today for the graphic for this video event. And this episode was that, because I wanted to show people that when you look at who they talk, and it's just like even in Minneapolis, they had Keith Ellison, and it bugs me that they do this type of shit, because I'm tired of people who cannot understand my struggle, right? Understand my fight. Because at the end of the day, Wale, you chose to come over here. My ancestors had no choice, had no say in it. You came over here for a better opportunity. And now you don't even speak for the people that you use, Black people, and you downgrade us. That's my problem with this. And the whole thing of it, even their keynotes, their speakers, DEI. Why are they so caught up in diversity, equity, and inclusivity? I will never understand that. When they sit there and they gatekeep other Black people from getting in the seats, from getting opportunities. How is that not gatekeeping? How is that not gatekeeping? Because I'll tell you right now, when I sit there and I look at this MLK event, right? I see Audrey, who is the director. Hold on, Mayo Clinic. I don't even know I can't even pronounce her name, but she says she's the diversity, equity, inclusion director, City of Rochester, right? That's not somebody that's not somebody that would be she's not a Black American. William Bud Whitehorn, community liaison, CERT, Tawanda Burks, Kent. I can't even. He ain't. So out of all of this, Justin Terrell, Whitehorn, and Burks were the only Black Americans. Everybody else was speaking for us, and they don't. And then here's the thing of it is, when their buddies do wrong, do you think they call them out? No. They silent as church mice, crickets. Do they call their buddies out? No, they don't, because literally what they do is, when their buddies, when Mayo Clinic gets called out, when the City of Rochester gets called out, when Olmsted, because I'll tell you right now, if they really cared about Black people, you know who the highest population of homeless people is? Black Americans. Do you see any of them people out there fighting? They were silent as church mice when it came to fighting for them as city council. Because Rochester, Minnesota is the only city in Minnesota that is a crime to be homeless. It's a crime. We'll call it what it is. It's a crime. Crime, right? We have our black kids going down to Minneapolis and getting killed. Do you see them coming out saying anything about it? We have our black kids overdosing on fentanyl. Do you see them coming out saying anything about it? Nope. Because they will never come out against massa. They're not going to come out and speak against the people that pay them. They're not. They're not. And that's why I have a problem with such, and that's why it's so hard for me, right? And I don't even speak about half the shit that I really honestly want to speak about because I don't want to burn them bridges. But at the end of the day, fuck them bridges. And I mean that on everything because you're either on God's side or the other side. That's how I leave it at the end of the day. And a lot of these people will really, because they call themselves Christians, they'll really tell them where the fuck they're at. Because at the end of the day, you're on the other side. You can't say you're on God's side when you won't call out the other side. Because there is no more sitting in the middle. You're complicit. And silence equals violence. And that's why we don't get no change, because everything that we've ever wanted to do in life from in America, anything in history has been co-opted. Anything prior to 1960, women's suffrage movement, or anything after 1960, right? Anything, Black Panthers. You got so many fractions running around, you don't know what the hell they stand for, right? But when it was the Black Panthers, you knew what they stood for, because Huey, Fred, Bobby, none of them would let anybody speak bad or ill on the Black Panthers. Nowadays, you got too many fractions running around. They don't know who they are, right? It's just like with us Black Americans. We sit here, run around because we don't know who the fuck we are. Because we're indoctrinated to think that, yeah, I'm African American. No, if you even look at it, I just talked about this yesterday. Look at your birth certificates. If you're old, here's the thing of it is, I'm 46. My birth certificate said African American, but it's changed over time. Look at your child's. Look at your grandchildren's. Go look at your grandparents. That'll show you right there that the color codes are right there in front of our eyes, that they are sitting there trying to. Okay, so when the birth certificate starts saying New Americans, is that when y'all take it serious that they're really trying to replace? They're trying to replace us. Is that what it's going to take? Because I don't get that. I really don't get that. Even Black Lives Matter. The people that are headed, this should be so phony as hell, man. That's what's crazy to me. That should be so phony. This whole shit, you know what's crazy is what I'm starting to realize is they like this chaotic shit, right? They don't want to ever could just come and tell people the straight truth, because at the end of the day, chaos causes cash. It's a cash flow. It brings money, right? It brings money. That's why they're sitting there fear-mongering us. Nobody wants to talk about disease X. Nobody wants to talk about how China, it's starting to use cremation things right there at the hospitals. So now if you die, they just cremate you right there on the spot. Nobody wants to talk about all the bullshit that's going on, because they want to deflect and distract. Because I'm going to tell you right now, fuck Donald Trump, fuck Joe Biden. What are they going to do for us? Not a goddamn thing, because at the end of the day, they got masses too. They bought and paid for. So don't think that they're going to do anything for you. Just like these Republican and Democratic parties, bought and paid for. That's why Trump say when he get into office, he can take gas back under $2 a gallon. That's going to win a lot of people over. And here's the crazy thing of it is, he got a jury trial. A jury trial. That's really are the people going to convict this man? We're going to see. It's going to be a crazy ass year. Well, at least I know we getting into next year. At least I know that. At least I know that. Right. You know what's crazy? They don't even want to talk about this. So Robert says there's links between these viruses and EMF. It's been proven. 5G messes with DNA. The heavy metals in food and vaccines act like an amplifier. Aircrafts use aluminum shaft. This 5G is the same as microwave radar. You know, I want people to pay attention to that because our government is included. What's up, brother? Good morning, 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 EJ. Yeah, because that, you know, once you dig into the CIA, you dig into the FBI, you dig into the DOJ, the FBI, I mean the alphabet boys, right? But then I'm not just talking about, then you look at the DEA as well. You know, you can't leave the DEA out. And then we have all these task force going down to, you know, local police. We have it going down to, you know, county, you know, departments as well. And who do they all get trained by? They all get trained by the same. They all get trained by the same. Israel. So all this shit is sit there and is connected. And because we're too undereducated and people don't want to have thoughtful discourse because they're so quick to call each other bitches. They're so quick to call, oh, I'll beat your ass, nigga. You a bitch ass nigga this, bitch ass nigga that. No, see, and that's the problem because we can't have a public discourse, right? Public dialogue, because people will sit there and take it personal. They get emotions over it instead of sitting there looking at it for what this shit really is, right? Because I see it in Twitter spaces all the time. I literally see it in Twitter spaces all the time, is when people get in their emotions, they start calling people bitches. You a bitch ass nigga. You this, you that. And it's like, damn, come on. How are we supposed to move forward? And we can't even have a public discourse. We can't even have a respectful public dialogue. Because, and that's what's crazy is if people could really just leave their emotion out of it, right? Because I feel like when you get emotional in it, I get it, because that's the thing of it is, when I started to realize change in myself is when I stopped taking shit so personal. Because this change isn't about me. It's about everybody. Because there's no I in team. There might be in community, but there isn't in team, right? So if you're in this, you have to be doing this to be selfless. To be selfless. Yeah, that 6 foot rule is bullshit. It is. You know what I'm saying? But I want people to really think about that. This shit is all by design. And if we don't call it out, we have to start calling it out. All lies will be exposed 2024. We have to call it out. We got to stop being so scared to call it out, right? All because we're going to be, you know what, let me talk about this, because as I'm talking about people being scared, right? I don't know if people watched, and I'm sure people have, the Cat Williams and Shannon Sharp conversation on Club Shay Shay. But in the beginning of that, and I don't know if it's public or not, I seen it on a behind the scenes. But Shannon says, man, I'm probably gonna be canceled after this interview. And Cat Williams was like, no, you're not. This video is gonna go viral. It's gonna go viral. He said, you are going to get so much people talking about that video. And it was, I thought about that because Shannon was scared of what Cat was going to say. And Cat knew that his truth was going to spark something. Shannon was scared of the truth, and Cat knew that the truth was going to spark something. And that's what it did. The truth came out, the truth sparked. Regardless of what people really want to see, because I'm not saying Cat's perfect. I'm not saying that anybody is perfect. We've all had to make decisions, for what was good for us, and Cat probably had to make some of them same decisions for himself. But the fact that he could literally and call himself out and say that, he's he's not perfect, he's done things wrong, but he would never to cave into his integrity and his values, and that other people do that to get ahead. And that's what really, that's what's crazy to me, is because people didn't see that as what he was talking about, because literally, Cat was talking about the music industry and Hollywood, and we can talk about the same things in our political movement. We can talk the same things in our civil rights movement today. We can talk about that same shit, because it's about gatekeeping. It's about people that will literally sell their soul, right, for money. They'll sell out, and it's all in the name of money. That's what I want people to really see, because they'll sell themselves out for, and their values. It's about integrity, right? They put that dress on, because that's what I really mean. Because I will say it like this, right? I look at any of my community leaders, Black community leaders, and most of them disagree with the shit I gotta say, because it goes against their master. It goes against their master. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Yeah, this definitely will be on YouTube. I will put what's crazy is I don't promote myself a lot, and I probably should. But honestly, I don't do this I pay for me and John Tell pay for our StreamYard. You know what I'm saying? I don't get nothing. This all comes out of my own pocket, man. I just do this to educate so that we can all be liberated. The same thing with John Tell, the same thing with the Leon Block. Even when it comes to our music, we do this, man, because we love it. We love the people. I don't care about getting money from this. That's why I go work a job. You know what I'm saying? But until, I just want people to realize that we are leaders, EJ. You know what I'm saying? We are leaders. That's the thing of it is right? Why we got to go back and listen to Malcolm. I want people to resonate with Malcolm, because in other communities, in the white community, do you see their entertainers, their comedians, their comics, their actors, their music as people that they literally put into their communities to come out here and get the people to vote? Hell no. Because that's a whole, man, they're not going to send Taylor Swift into an event full of rednecks, old ass rednecks. Hell no. They ain't gonna know who that girl is. Some of them might, but they're gonna be like, what the fuck? Ain't nobody listening to her weird ass. Right? But you do that in the Black community, you put up a Diddy. Well, maybe not a Diddy today, but a Diddy, 15 years ago, they probably would. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that. But I remember when Diddy was behind the Vote or Die, You know what I'm saying? Even when it just came to this last election against Trump and Biden, and how people were coming out saying Trump was this, or you had people going, oh, Trump gonna do this for us. And it was like, man, Trump don't give a fuck about none of us. Biden don't give a fuck about none of us. You think they really care? They think they care about that our cousins, our brothers, our sisters, our children, our grandchildren are out here getting killed? You think they care that our communities are getting gentrified? You think they care that our communities are becoming zombie lands? Hell no, they don't, because they make money off of that shit. They make money, right? They make money. That's why they don't put money to it. And if they do put money to it, they put money to their gatekeepers. They put money to their minions, right? So that they can hand it out evenly. Oh yeah, we're going to give it here. We're going to give it there. So that way we actually don't get anywhere. That's what we're going to see February 12th, right? At this Minnesota legislative session. That's what we're going to see during any time until November now. We're going to see people out here. I'm going to call this now until November, the Make-A-Wish season, right? Because that's what it is. They're going to be like, what do you want to be seen done? Well, we're gonna prevent car robberies. We're gonna make the price of eggs go down so y'all don't have to pay $3.29 for a dozen eggs. I'm gonna make gas under $2 a gallon. They're not gonna be able to do that. They're not gonna be able to do that. Come on now. Let's keep it a buck. They're not going to be able to do that. It's all going to be a Make-A-Wish, because that's what it is, right? They giving us checks they'll never cash. They'll never cash. That's why it's crazy, is because that last month in December, the end of 2023, Biden made a statement, a press release or whatever, saying that they needed to get the George Floyd Policing Act passed. Motherfucker, that was 2020. We in 2024, nigga. We motherfuckers don't even talk about that shit no more. One, you know what's crazy is because we've sent so many names since George Floyd that y'all could have prevented those names, that we literally have to get rid of that legislation to write new legislation, for the simple fact of we know different now. There's things that we need to change that were more wrong with just y'all putting y'all knees on our necks, right? Because y'all still shoot us down. Y'all still go to the wrong address and get triggered and hurt babies. Waylon Smith in Illinois. And yes, I'm talking about a white baby, because it's bogus as hell when our so-called professionally trained police officers go to the wrong address and babies get hurt. Babies. Or they pull somebody over and get scared because they're black and just shoot when he tells them to reach for his driver's license, or he tells them to reach for his insurance. Or they walk up to a mentally ill black man and choke him to death by putting supposed to be a spit mask on him. That's what they called it, but it was a plastic bag where they suffocated him. Daniel Prude. Or they're in the neighborhood and they see a black man going to his apartment, and so the black man, Casey Goodson, goes to his house with 2 Subway sandwiches and gets killed. Same thing with Andre Hill. They go to a call. They see a black man in a garage. He's got a cell phone. Pow. Gun. We see something. Does that give justification to shoot because you see something? If you're not sure you see a gun, because if you niggas can't, but you know what? Never mind it, because these niggas can't even tell the difference between their taser and their guns. So never mind that. So I could honestly see these dumbasses seeing a cell phone. Or I really still don't understand how you see a Subway sandwich as a gun. But I mean, unless they're making AKs look like Subway sandwiches, I mean, shit, let me know. I mean, because that shit's crazy. Oh, there is. They did write it, but see what exceptions. And now if people if you go listen to Reverend Tim Christopher, he will explain to you why no-knock warrants are still in play in Minnesota. It's because of red flag laws. All they did, we went for the overlay for the underlay. That's all we did. It's because we're undereducated and we don't pay attention to the legislation. We don't read the bills. That's how they get things over on us. That was one thing because I'll tell you right now, come February 12th, you know what the talk's going to be? It's not going to be about the people that are hurting who were born in America. It's going to be about the office of the new Americans. That's what every damn legislation in America is going to be about this year, right? It's going to be about the office of the new Americans. Watch. And if you say anything about the new Americans, they're going to call you a racist. I'm just putting it out there. So be watchful of the new Americans, because look at it. I sent it to you yesterday, Ruth, from the Minnesota government page about the office of new Americans. And people need to pay attention to that, because I'm not going to say they're going to replace us, right? But what I am going to say is that they know that we're waking up. So they're trying to get another voter base. That's what's happening. They know that we're waking up. They know that we're waking up and moving differently when we vote now, because we're not just going to keep on going for them empty promises. And we're looking and we're reading, we're looking to see what they're doing. So you know what they're going to do? They're going to get a whole nother voter base. And people got to understand that, because they might not be able to vote. See, here's the thing. They're not so much really cared about the presidency, right? But locally, because they can still control the presidential locally by electoral votes, right? So I want people to really think about that, because I'm telling you right now, they're going to do more for immigration and migration and migrants this year than they're going to do for anybody that is American, because they're going to be doing shit for the new Americans, the Democrats anyways. And I hope a lot of people really see that, because that's what you're going to see a lot this year is shit about new Americans. And you know what's crazy is I wish I could really say that I was fucking lying. I wish I could say that I was getting on here to be clout chasing, to be out here fear mongering. But this shit's the honest to God truth, and it's fucked up. It's literally fucked up. Fucked up. But hey, we've had a black president, had a bunch of black mayors. No, the government, no, because they don't want to. Because they know that they can get other people to come over here and do as what they need to get done for a handout. Not even for a handout. Is we'll do this for y'all if y'all do this for us. That's all it is. So thank you guys for tuning in today. I know this was a lot, but I hope people really look into the things that we talked about. Look into, the color codes. Call out your NAACPs, your ACLUs. Call them out. You know what I'm saying? Because it's time that we have this public discourse. It's time that we have these conversations about solutions, instead of it just being about rhetoric. instead of it just being propaganda, how do we actually make tangible solutions? How do we make impactful solutions? How do we make action, not just words, but action? So, happy Wednesday. And again, today's episode was Shades of Legacy, the NAACP Unveiled. So, win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well. Y'all have a great one.
Every day, fighting for my life. Every day, fighting for my life. Fighting for my life. Fighting for my bread. Grew from the seed you thought was rot. I think not. Fire bred desire to rise above denial, to rise from former ashes to face new trial for more triumph.